on the CSS. And here the first thing is, you can see, let me recollect what we have done with respect to the CSS. Like if you can see here, for the whole body wise, what I did was I have given something called as a specific font style I have given, so that whenever I am incorporating any new control, so it is automatically going to apply this font. So I don't have to specifically mention that this paragraph element has to follow a Cambria style. So once we mention it in the body, it is automatically applied for all the elements whichever we are going to mention. In case if we want any one specific element to be changing its style, only then we have to go ahead and mention the specific style for this particular paragraph. Like say for an example, right now, let me put some lorem ipsum content. I've taken in lorem ipsum content, and here I'll place it. So you can see when I'm refreshing, you are not able to see a difference between this font and this font, right? Both are same, because as per body style we have applied as it is going to be lorem ipsum. And one more thing is, like what we have done was, like in case if you want to change the style of a paragraph, I'll go ahead and choose something called as an element selector. Element selector is nothing but whatever is the name of an HTML element, the same name we will use, and we will apply some styles for that. Okay. So here, the first thing is, when I am giving a font family, I'll give it as probably Ludia Sans, which will be a lot different for you compared to Cambria. So when I'm refreshing my page, you can see that this particular font is different from the ones which is there at the top. So this I'm telling you only for the purpose of understanding. But whenever we are developing any one site, most of the times we'll go with a unique font family. And only in cases like where we have to highlight some comics kind of a data, or like I want to highlight a paragraph header in a different style, so you can go ahead and mention these differentiations in a page. Okay. And one more thing is, one more a good practice that you have to follow is, never ever a code should be in an horizontal scrolling format. And also for the UI as well, it should never be in an horizontally scrolling format. Okay. So when you want to stop horizontal scroll, you can go ahead and do the word wrap, that is alt Z. Okay. And the first thing is, like you can see that there was a margin applied for the body. Like for some of the browsers, when you open or in some of the systems, when you apply when you are developing a website, you can see that there is some kind of a space occupied by each and every element here. And so what I wanted to do is, I don't want this space has to be there. So what we did was, we made it as margin 0 pixel. Okay. And now coming to the star element, whenever I am applying a star, what it means is, it is called as an universal selector. So here, when I said body means inside body, whatever content I'm going to paste, it is going to accommodate that style. But when I am mentioning something kind of a margin, padding, background color and all, it is going to be only for the body. It is not going to apply for each and every element within that. Okay. Say for an example, I'll apply a background color for this. And background color is going to be the speech color. So when I changed it, sorry, it was blue color, I think. Okay. When I changed it, you could see that it has become page color for the background color. But what happens is, like you can see that I have applied an header style to be an blue color. So it is completely applying a blue color for the complete header. But when we apply a star, what happens is, it will consider each and every element. Even the nested elements will be considered as an each and every element. You can see here. Here I have applied a background color as peach, and that it is applying background color peach. And here you can see that this particular text box, I have not applied any style. The button. Okay. So it is automatically incorporating the universal selectors style. Okay. It is li and this li and this li and all that. It is automatically applying a universal selectors background color, or the style definitions, whichever we have mentioned in the universal selector. So that is the major difference between your body and a universal selector. Body means
Okay.
it will be applying for all the child elements, but some of the properties will be unique to the body. Like background color means it is going to apply only for the it is going to apply only the background color for the body area, not for the sub or nested elements and all. But whereas when
Okay.
you go with the star or a universal selector, it is going to apply universally for all the elements within that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing with your when you're selecting, want to comment on multiple lines, you select the multiple lines, and what is the command for that?
Yeah, I'll just type it here. Comment is
Con-
shortcut is Control K C, and uncomment is Control K plus U.
okay, got it.
Okay, and here when you want to do a multi-select of a multi-comment a line, multi-line comment, then select all the elements and then say Control KC. And if you
Mhm.
want to again uncomment multiple lines, then you can select all the lines and then you can see Control KU.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Okay. And the next thing is like when it is a combinator selector, what is a combinator selector is we have UL in both the places. Like you can see that I have mentioned one in the main header and one in the subheader. But I don't want my LI style, some of the styles to be applied only for my elements for the main header. Say for an example, this font color, underline or hover, all these has to be applied only for the main header. For
Main
the
header.
subheader, I don't want any changes to be there. It should be just like this. So
Mm-hmm.
in that case, what we will do is we'll go ahead and choose a combinator selector. Combinator selector as in, I told you about a element selector. Element selector meaning directly we are going to mention an element of an HTML. So the
Mm-hmm.
same way here, what we did was we mentioned a element selector and a class selector. So what is a class selector is class selector is class selector can be mentioned for multiple elements irrespective of what element you want to design as. So here you will give dot. Always the class selector will start with dot and then you have to give the name of the class.
Class
So
selector.
this is the syntax for the class selector. And if
Mm-hmm.
it is an element selector, it is going to be directly an HTML element.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to apply for all the elements. Okay. So here
Okay.
you can see that what I did was I have written one class that is called as a main header. So within this main header, whichever UL or LI element is there, I wanted those elements to be appearing towards the right side. And I need a specific style to be followed. So for that, what I did was I just used a combinator selector. So what is a combinator selector is here I'm using a class selector and within that, whatever elements are there with a specific mentioned element. So all that should apply the style. So say for an example, list style type none meaning because it's a ULLI, we always will have a bullet style shown in, but we don't want the bullet styles to be visible. So you can make the bullet style to none so that the dots will disappear. And the next thing is I want these elements to be floating to the right. And that is the reason I have made the float right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one is the main header li. So by nature, if you see what will happen is when we are pasting an ULLI, when we are pasting a new LI, the nature of an LI is that it is going to occupy an block in block level element, meaning it is going to occupy the complete line and it is going to break down to the next line with the new element. And again, the new element is also going to occupy the complete line and the next one will break down to the next line. But when we want to change the behavior of it loading, so what I did was I made the float to left. Meaning, what will happen when I make a float left? It is going to, first thing is this element will come. And next to that, we will have the next element loaded. And once this next element loaded, next to that, the next element will load. So which
Got it.
means once if we mention for one LI, all the LIs will be following the same thing, which means like it is going to accommodate as a float left. And the width of the li, the width of the li is going to be how much of a space it is going to occupy. Like you can give I mean, I judged somehow that this is not going to change itself frequently. It is only a one time change or very rare scenario change. So in that case, what I decided was, okay, 100 pixel will be good for accommodating all the text length of whatever menus I have. So I gave a fixed length of 100 pixel. And since this is of a blue color, I made the color of a font to be aqua. Or if you want, you can also make it as black. But whenever you want to change the font color, the property for changing the font color is color itself. It is not font color, it is a color.
Okay.
And when you're mentioning more than once, when you're mentioning a property more than once, the first property will be considered as an like it will be applied. Yeah, this will be applied, and the next property will be overridden by the, I mean, the first one will be overridden by the next one. So there is no point in mentioning two times. You can just mention it only once. Okay. And whenever you want to change the size of a font, like we want to increase or reduce, then you go ahead and mention as font size, and it is in 24 pixel I have given.
Okay.
Okay. And another thing is, like whenever I am hovering on this, so that time what we are doing is we are just giving as li colon hover. So this colon is nothing but it is called as a pseudo class. Okay. Pseudo class meaning whenever colon and only one single colon and anything meaning any event is occurring, that time this particular event occurring as in, like I am going here and I'm clicking on it. It means, I mean, I'm focusing on it. It means it's a hover event. So likewise, we have plenty of events. Like you can see there is an visited event. Visited is specifically for links, and there is a first event, I mean pseudo clause, and there is a last pseudo clause, and there is an nth element pseudo clause. So there are plenty of pseudo clauses. We will see the ones whichever is really used in the real world.
Yeah.
Remaining things you can just go through from the document and you can understand what it is. And you can see active is something which we will be frequently using. So active meaning, like whenever I clicked on a link, it means that this page is active currently. And when I click on this link, it means this page is being active. So this is an hyperlink reference that we have to give, and upon which we will be able to decide if this page is active or not. But right now we do not have anything as such. And also you can see there are blank and there are checked, like that there are few hover classes. So blank meaning whenever your input box is blank, so that time this blank colon blank will be applied. And there is an there is a checked, whenever you are using a check box and it is coming in a checked manner, then you will use a checked colon checked pseudo class. And there is a required, like whenever your text box has been applied attribute called as a required. You remember, right? We have been setting a required attribute to check the validation. So when it is marked as a required, so that time this pseudo class will be applied. So like this, and also the target, like target is again for the hyperlinks. So like this, we have few hover classes which needs to be mentioned on a specific criteria. So, okay. Right now, the criteria that we are using is only hover. So let me use hover only. And when I am hovering on this, you can see that only during hover, some styles will be applied. That is, I have given a text decoration of underline, and we can also change the text decoration with the different styles, like dashed I will give. And when I give it as dashed or dotted, mostly people won't use this. Why is it not coming as dotted? It's not applying. It's applying only underline. Okay, it is applying only underline. The remaining things we'll see it in other places. And the dashed or dotted will come for borders. So here what we did was, like the color we have made it into white color, meaning whenever I'm hovering, it should show underline and a white color. So I gave color as white. And word spacing to be, like you can see that right now it is just instead of word spacing, we have to make it as a letter spacing. So when I make letter spacing, I'll just give 5 pixel for the letter spacing, and let's see what changes does it happen. So you can see that it is just expanding itself, and also it is getting increased in size, and it is getting changed the color to white, and also it is underlining the text. and all these properties are mentioned during a hover. So that is why this behavior is adopted during hover.
Okay.
Okay, and what is a pseudo class? Is a pseudo class is something which is applied for the complete element. Okay, and you can see that complete element meaning this is my whole content of one list, and when I'm hovering, it is applying the styles for the whole content. It is not applying only for the part of the place or part of the area.
Okay.
Okay, and there is something called main header and li colon before is there. So here what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and mention the content too. Before my menu bar, I want to show it as star star. Okay, and let me just refresh and check. You can see that this is called as in before content. So whenever we mention something with the double colon, it is called as a pseudo element.
Pseudo class. Okay.
This pseudo element is nothing but it is applied only to a part of a content or at the part of a element. You can see colon before meaning it is applying to the area which is before the menu bar, and it is
Okay.
not bothered what exactly my content is, what is there within that. Nothing is worried, nothing is an headache for that pseudo element. So you
Okay.
can see here actually what is happening is I have given as li, and also this is something which is going to create the space for itself before and after, because not for every element we'll have before and after. Only if we mention or if we write a pseudo element, our before and after content will be visible. So which
Oh,
means that
okay.
before and after, whatever the content I'm giving here, the content attribute is mandatory to give. Because if this content attribute is not there, you will not be able to see any data. So let me make my font, not font, let me change my color of the font to something different. I'll make it a blue violet. Okay, can you see this color?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when I change it, what happened was only or before content got adopted for the color which I have given. Imagine if there is no content at all. So if there is no content, then the color itself will not take effect, because
Yeah.
there is nothing to be put into that place. So the content cannot be mentioned from the HTML. For before or after element, the content attribute must be mentioned. Only then will be this styles whichever is mentioned under li before will be taken place.
Okay.
Okay, and next thing is you can also give main header, and I will say li colon colon after. So when I give after, for after also it is the same. So after will have, I'll just give as hyphen hyphen, and then color I'll make it deep pink. Let me save this, go to my page, refresh and check. You can see that the after content is now showing as hyphen hyphen. Okay, so which means that like my after content also requires a content, and my before content also requires a content.
Agreed.
Content attribute to be mandatorily mentioned.
Got it.
Okay, so the next one is like in case if you want to change this content dynamically, or based on your elements, you want to change the value that is showing in this content. So for that, we have something called as an attribute function. So what this attribute will do is, so I'll just give as an attribute, there is a function called attribute. Okay, so in this attribute, I will pass on the value from my li. So I'll just say attr or data before is equal to, I want to show dollar. So this is called as an attribute. So this data before I will take it and I will put it inside the attribute tag. and I can see that the dollar will be applied. So for
Okay.
whichever element I am giving configuring the data attribute, only that element will showcase the value
Got it.
before value. And I have not applied for my about or contact or services, so you can see that the dollar is not applied for about, contact or services.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the way we can configure and data before, and this is the way we can use the attribute function. And whatever the attribute you are giving here, the same has to be used here.
Mm.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so the same can be done for your after also. If you want to apply an after attribute, so you can just give us data hyphen after attribute. So this is user defined. It is just like a variable name. You can give any name. It is not only the name that I am mentioning here. You can give
Oh,
any
okay.
name.
Okay.
I'll just give your as attribute of data after. And when I'm refreshing, you can see that it is going to show only one hyphen because I have passed one as an hyphen for that.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of hyphen, if you want to put a dot, that is also possible. You can see here it is dynamically changed. And for
Okay.
the next element, I don't want the dot should be there. I wanted it to be showing a different thing.
Mm.
So I'll just change my dollar to bracket,
Mhm.
only a open bracket,
Mm.
and this dot to a close bracket.
Mm.
So you can see that it is going to show me a open and close brackets as a before and after content.
Okay. And one thing, Vidya,
Mm,
so this before and after content we applied for home and about,
mm, mm,
and below couple of paragraphs, I have
mhm.
same kind of menu. Some pages I'm designing can in that also. If I want to apply, can we do a generalized class? At the external level or the internal level, and then we can refer it in the LI element.
No, your point is not clear to me. You are saying that I have mentioned only to this area.
Yeah, if I have one more menu, sub menu at the bottom, like
Mhm.
after two paragraphs
Okay,
in a page, and I
okay,
want to apply the same before and after, only for the two menu, like you applied for this one, right? Data
okay.
before and data after.
Ah,
So I want to create a one more subheader, and again there I have to create an LI, or how does it work? Because
yes, it has to create. You have to create an LI, and for the LI, you have to mention the before and after element. See, I
okay,
have
but
a
how
subheader
about the
already.
how about the attribute? Because the attribute,
Attribute.
I I don't
Yeah,
want to
let me
repeat.
let me
Yeah,
apply it and show it to you.
yeah.
LI colon after, and I will see content is ADTR of data hyphen after you can give. And you can also say the color is going to be a coral.
Okay.
And
Uh, l-
now
l-
let me go to the subheader and apply as data hyphen after, and I can give the content as this.
yeah, this is where my question is. Here in LA also you are giving in subheader also you are giving data after. In the main header also we are giving data after. Can we avoid that one in giving in
Yeah,
multiple
you can give
places?
anything. You can give anything. You can give same or you can give anything. That's what I'm supposed to say now.
No, no,
See,
no, 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 no. I'm not asking that. So we are giving data before in the main header. Sorry, let's consider as data after.
but
Data
let me
after,
wait a minute. I will
yeah,
clarify one point for you. See,
yeah.
there is an LI, right?
Mm,
Here, whatever this is like a room, okay?
mm, mm.
Whatever we are keeping inside this room, it is visible and accessible only for this room, and it is
Yeah,
not accessible outside of this room, okay? And again, here, whatever you are keeping, it is accessible only within this room, and it is not accessible outside of the room. So here, I'll even change it to data test, okay?
yeah.
And
I agree. I agree.
yeah,
I understood that. But if we
yeah.
want to use common symbol for both main header and subheader before and after, we cannot use that.
You cannot use that. You have to configure. Say for an example, you are having a 10 input box, okay? In the
Mm,
10 input box, you are having a name, and then you are having your address, and then you are having phone number, and then you are having your hobby, willingness or a hobby. Here the first three is required, okay, but the last one is not required. So will
Okay.
you like to apply the attribute once and it should be reflected for everything else, or is it like you will be applying for each and every element uniquely?
No, why don't we specify like inside that li, can't we specify class name instead of specifying data before? I mean, like some name,
See, with the
ABC.
help of class name you can apply, but however the attribute has to be mentioned, because the attribute is the one which is going to give you an value here. In case if you want it to be applying for all the LIs, then don't configure attribute data before. Instead, you can directly configure the value as this. If you configure as this, it is going to apply for all the elements.
No, still I'm not clear. No, the thing is in main header I want to apply only for two elements, and in subheader I want to apply the
Then
same
there is
style
only
only.
way of configuring data attribute only.
Um, so even in main header also in li I have to configure, and in subheader li also I have to configure that attribute name.
Exactly.
Oh.
See, I am having a text box here. Okay. I'm having a text box here. Okay. And I want all my text box to be capturing the information. So will you be specifying the attribute required for only one element, or will you specify for all the element
Yeah, for all the
as per
element
the
we need.
HTML?
As per HTML, we can generalize one class name called required or something, and then in the HTML element we can refer that class name.
No, that will
We can-
not work that way.
Oh
What type of class you are saying? Required is an attribute. It is a
no,
functionality. So it is
no,
not
no, no.
a
Yeah, well, I'm just giving an example as required.
hmm,
Like for example, if you want to apply some color inside when you fill the content of the thing, we are giving a class called color, text box color something will name, and inside that we put color as red. Yeah, style, text box content or whatever, color equal to red. So this will be applied uniquely for all the text boxes. That's right?
1 minute. I will apply and show it to you. Then we'll not have that confusion.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to understand.
That is what I'm also trying to say you. See, 1 pixel red solid I have to mention, because solid if you don't mention. See, this is a required field, okay? But this is not a required field.
Okay, but if it is a required field, we can do like this also.
No, if it is a required field, you can change the design like that. But if it is required, you cannot make with the help of a border color, you cannot tell this text box to be required. The
But
user will understand. Wait, let me
yeah,
finish. The
yeah.
user will understand it to be required, but when you're clicking on the functionality, I have filled this, and when I am clicking this, it is submitted.
Mm, mm.
As per functionality, this is not considered to be an required one.
Yeah, as per functionality, that's not a required one. Then we no need to apply that class there. But if you want to apply the class for below two text boxes, we can use that class name, right?
Yes, you can use the class name, but class name is totally different from attribute. Class is
Uh,
something which you are defining a style, and where you want to commonly define some styles to all the elements, then you use class. Attribute is something which is going to uniquely identify that particular element's feature.
okay.
If Senthil is there, Senthil has a oval face and two eyes and a nose, and his feature is he is fair in color, so this is the feature. And if X person is there, he might be dark in nature and he has a square face and he has a curly hair. That's his feature. So likewise, attribute is something which we are going to define a feature for everything. And when you are
For
bringing these two people in a common stage, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, when you are bringing these people to for bringing these two people on a common stage for doing a mime people will always wear a blue colored face or a white and black colored face, where they will be coloring themselves and they'll come to the stage and they'll perform. So here the blue and white color whatever you are doing is an customization that you are doing for that person, but you cannot change the nature of the person, right? So the class is nothing but you are doing a customization for this particular element, but whereas the required is nothing but it is a nature of that particular element.
So attribute can be, if you want to specify attribute, and it can be applied only in the element level, not generalize, and then we can call that.
No,
Oh, got it.
not possible.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, let's
No,
continue.
no issues. You can, how many questions ever you have, you can ask me. Not an issue. So I believe now it is very clear to you.
Yeah.
Mm, okay. Give me 1 minute.
Mhm.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
No, Sindhil, wait a minute.
Okay.
Sorry, my husband's SIM was locked, so he went for
Okay.
unlocking. He asked me for OTP.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so are we clear with this? With the pseudo
Yes, I am.
element and pseudo classes, can we go ahead with
Yes,
the next one?
yes.
Okay. I think the session will break in another 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Before we continue with the next topic, I will break the meeting and then I will start the recording. I mean, start
Mm.
the meeting. Okay.